What would you say if you got to spend just 2 minutes with your younger self? And I'm thinking maybe 20-year younger self, but you can you can go around the range if it's easier for you, but you just got a couple of minutes. What are the key messages you'd want to share with her?
I think I would say take more risks. I think I would say, yeah, like go for the thing that you think is might be a little impossible, or you know, really connect with what you want and who, you know, what you want to do, and go for that. Don't try to please anyone else. Don't try to live up to anybody else's image or hope for you. Find your own way. Be courageous enough to take the steps to creating what you want and not what anyone else wants. I don't have any regrets looking back, because I kind of like the person that I am. And you know, so if I changed anything, I've screwed up a bunch. I've done things I'm not proud of. You know, all of that stuff like anybody else. And had I not done that stuff, I hadn't felt that pain. I hadn't gone through the struggle, hadn't screwed up a bunch of times, I wouldn't really be the person that I am today. I'm the accumulation of all that stuff. So I don't have any regrets, and I think for especially my younger self, I was attempting to live up to someone else's version of success. You know, I wanted to tick the box off so that I could, you know, okay, yep, she did what we hoped she would do. And it wasn't a bad existence, but it probably just wasn't the one that was meant for me. But I got there eventually.
And just very quickly, what drives you say your key message from what you were saying there is around the sort of just take more risk, care less about what everyone's thinking, listen to your own heart, your gut, and be a bit more bold, right? What makes you say that?
I think as I've gotten older and I've become more aware that my existence is not perpetual. There will be an end to it. I think I think time is felt more precious. And so it wasn't wasted time. It wasn't, but I think I've really connected to this is my life, right? This is my time. Not in a, it sounds selfish, but it doesn't feel selfish to me. I truly believe that the happier I am, the more fulfilled I am, the more purposeful I am, the better, the greater impact I'm having, not on a scale on my children, on my parents, on my friends, on the people around me. And so I believe on that ripple effect. And so often when I was living for someone else, when I was trying to live up to something that wasn't truly what I wanted for myself, I think there's a disconnect there. There's kind of a, let me do this and then I'll get to do what I want to do, right? Versus now it's kind of like, how can I make today the best day? How can I really enjoy today? And that's not to say that there are certain things that I like more than others in my day-to-day life, because that's just true. And it doesn't take away the power for me to enjoy today. So you and I always joke that we are a bit too agreeable, right?
Mm-hmm.
You and I are pretty agreeable people. We tend to find the silver lining in whatever, we could go this way or that way often, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not against our values, but we're pretty flexible humans. How do you believe that this has helped us in co-creating these casual conversations, and how do you think it's hindered us?
Yeah, the first caveat I would make is, although I think in fact, I won't speak to you, I'll speak for myself. I'm agreeable. I have a bit of a mantra, which is like, I find a way to get on with anyone. I will find a way. Doesn't mean I'll agree with everyone or I'll bend over and just sort of take it, like whatever comes of me. But I definitely have an intention of finding a way to get on, because I think when you get on, you can always it leads somewhere, right? There's more chance of creating something, coming to an agreement somewhere in the middle or whatever. So that's kind of a key. I guess it's a bit of a value, really. But that side, I suppose, for us, how did it help? Well, none of us are too attached on the how of doing something or the what, because we're both agreeable. We're not like too obsessed with it has to be like this or it has to be like this. We wanted to come up with a way of working together. You suggested this after a lot of back and forth. What could we do? And yeah, there was no drama attached to any of it. It's like, let's give it a go. When you're fairly agreeable, you give things a go, even if you don't always necessarily think it's a great idea. Not that I didn't about this, but yeah, you give it a go. And I think that's why we started it, and that's why we're still doing it. Because, well, that's not why we're still doing it. It's because it's enjoyable. This whole process has been enjoyable for me. I've learned a lot from you, hopefully vice versa, and it's been a great practice in sort of really digging deep and sharing what we truly believe about life, particularly things that we think will help each other and maybe others. So I think it's helped in that way. I feel like I'm rambling a bit, but I'll come to the how has it not helped, or how has it hindered. In these conversations, I would say we've probably stuck to fairly safe topics to some degree, maybe well-trodden topics, things that we know that we have some knowledge in. So therefore, maybe it's not particularly groundbreaking. I would say possibly because we're quite agreeable, or we hold back, or I hold back on maybe if I've got opinions that are quite far one way, maybe that aren't the norm, maybe I wouldn't have shared that potentially. I'm not thinking of anything specific, but I'm sure there's been examples of that, because you don't want to offend anyone sometimes. So I'd say that would hold me back a little bit from getting into the real grit of things and having a real clear, strong opinion. But then again, I hear myself talking, and I'm also thinking at the same time, if I really think something, if I really believe something, then I'll still try and share it in a way that doesn't come across like a I don't want to use the word, but, an idiot, let's say. But I also don't have an issue being assertive if I really want something. And I think, what do you believe is the purpose of life?
I feel it's to get to know ourselves. Like, I feel like we think we know ourselves, but we don't really. And I think we live a life to truly learn how to connect with that deeper self rather than this self that lives up here. That's one thing. The other one, I think, is just we're here to be in relationship. Like, I think we're here to love each other. Like, I think that's like love each other and love ourselves. And but to learn to do that at a level that's deeper than kind of the surface of thinking we know ourselves, but really getting to know the deeper person that lives within, and connect that deeper person with the deeper person of the people around us. I think we often live up here, and the purpose of life is to to bring down our center of awareness to a place deeper. And I think there are forces that are working against us. The way we've organized, the way human beings, how we have organized, co-created our society, our organizations, our schools, all of these kind of structures and concepts that we've co-created with each other counter what we're actually here to do, I think, in many ways. And I think that we are slowly, generation to generation, consciousness is increasing, and we are learning that we are, these structures that we've developed aren't serving us. And so I think the purpose of life is not just one life. I think it's greater than that, right? I think we're all a part of the input to it, but and what we do in our own life is to learn how to connect with our deeper self and connect with the deeper self of others, but it's all in service of this consciousness that I think is increasing and heightening from generation to generation, even though it doesn't feel that way on the outside. Often, I think the things we talk about today are so different than they were even 20 years ago. Even in my lifetime, your lifetime, I have seen an increase in consciousness, even though we see all of these things happening in the outside world that also feel that they go counter to it. We're asking different questions today than we did 20 years ago.
I think you're pointing towards, without naming anything specifically, I feel like you're pointing towards the kind of the source energy, the source consciousness, whatever you want to call it. There's something out there, right? And we're even though it feels like we're drifting further from that and more into our own more into our own egos and our collective egos and our collective kind of disputes, it's like actually we're having different conversations. There's almost like a bit of an awakening happening, even though it doesn't feel like it. There's this kind of these two forces now. You've got the sort of the way of life that people are gradually getting pulled into, which is actually creating a fairly unhappy world. But then there's this other side of things where it's like, actually, is there another way to be? And that's almost like the voice of the more kind of consciousness coming through around, what if we take it back more to simplicity and connection and humanity and love, I guess, is one of the things you said as well, right? So yeah.
What are you excited about? What are you looking forward to?
Let's see. I'm looking forward to a long vacation at the end of the year to the Canary Islands, just to get a bit of sun and some peace and recharge time, just to kind of reflect on the past year and think ahead for the next year. But that's exciting to me because I feel like I don't often take enough time to sort of reflect. You know, I'm kind of wrapped up often in the kind of the doing of work and various other things. So I think that's going to be great. I'm excited about it. I'm excited that some adventure might come from that activity, you know, that reflection. But in terms of something more specific, what else am I excited about?
Well, can I broaden your review? If you look forward to the next 40 years, what are you excited about?
So interesting. As soon as you asked that, I thought to myself, I never look forward 40 years. I don't even think forward a week often, or a year at least. What am I excited about? You know what? I guess I'm excited because I feel like the last year or two, I've probably changed the most in terms of really embracing like who I am, what I stand for, what my values are, and starting to share it more with people around me, with the world, with these videos and other things, right? So I guess I'm excited that because that's so recent, I feel like that can only compound and become more of an intention going forward. So maybe it ties back to what we said earlier, right? Around just sharing more of your passion and your skill and what you know, right? I know a lot. I've studied a lot and I've experienced a lot, and I think it's probably quite exciting to think that in another 4 years, I would have hopefully made some impact in sharing some of that knowledge, wisdom, experience with others, maybe on a bigger scale, and hopefully making a difference to other people in that process, because that actually excites me. Some people might think, oh, it doesn't sound that exciting, but to me, that's pretty exciting. I've lived a lot with anxiety and fear for a lot of time, and I think a big part of my purpose, I guess, even though I don't have a specific statement, is around helping people come through anxiety and fear, because you can do it. And yeah, I think that's exciting for me anyway. What do you do consistently in your own routine, your own life, that that creates the biggest impact in how you feel?
The thing that I do consistently is probably a really overused buzzword, but the thing that I do consistently is really appreciate all that I have right now. And that's been true throughout my life. So whether it has nothing to do with the stuff that I have, it's just appreciating what is here. Whether I have a lot or a little, I always appreciated just what was there. And so I have, and I think I got this from my dad. I think this is just my dad wired this in to my brain because I just was around him so much, and that he looks at the life this way, that I just remember always just being grateful for, the littlest things growing up. I would be immensely grateful for them. And I would just and so sometimes I'll just be walking the dog and it's like a rainy day and I'll be like, just so fresh. And then the next day it's a sunny day and I'll be, just a beautiful blue sky. And I'm like, well, that was just doesn't make, but I just appreciate what's there. Now, listen, I don't live like that all the time. There's times where I'm like, damn the rain. I'm using the weather as like, just something easy to refer to. But often I go back to what am I grateful for? Both my parents have had bouts with cancer. I think I've mentioned this here before. And even there, I often would go, oh, but I'm grateful that I'm able to go with them to this doctor's appointment. I'm grateful that I get to wait here while my dad waited for his radiation appointment because we were just talking and he's just telling me his stories. Or so even in the hard, the hard shit that life throws our way, I just have, my base point, my home base is what is there to appreciate here? What can I be grateful for here? Where can I focus that feels like it's a gift? And my parents having cancer was never a gift, but there was always a small gift within this kind of difficult situation. So not to negate the difficult or the tears that I might have shed, but it was fine, right? It was like, it is what it is. And there's always something grateful. So that is something that comes pretty naturally now, but that I do even without thinking, which often actually annoys some people around me, because often when someone feel like when they're deep in pain, deep in struggle, they don't want the silver lining. Like there's a time and place to share the silver lining. I've had to learn, as someone who tends to see the silver lining, to not share that, because not everyone is, because it can be perceived and taken as a threat or as a denial of their emotion. And it's not at all how I mean it, but that's kind of the other side of it. It's got a beautiful impact on me, but the thing I have to be careful with is not to impose it on someone else when they're not ready to hear it. Alrighty, well, those were our 5 questions. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. It's fun. I feel like I've learned a lot about you.
Thank you for trusting me, and it's a testament that I trust you. We're asking me 5 questions that we neither knew what we're getting ourselves into, but it was fun. And until next time, I guess.
Yeah, till next time. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.